All data-driven applications follow the same structure. On the right, we have a user with an iPhone, and on the left, a server where all of our raw data will be stored. The application starts with what we call a view model, often called the data manager. This is a class that we write which will download data from the server and store it on the device. So essentially it is what we call the back end of the application. So the view model will require an internet connection in order to talk to the server. It runs a function called URL session that will connect to the internet with a URL and give the server instructions on what data to download, in this case, days. The server has two files, an API and a database. The API is essentially another app, and it will read the fact that data equals days, so the data we are asking for is days. It will in turn run an SQL query of the database, and the database will send back tabular data. The API then converts that data into JSON and sends it back to the app. JSON is a way of transmitting data, or format for transmitting data, that is common across almost every coding language. The app will receive the JSON and the view model will interpret it. Now, it currently doesn't know how to convert the JSON into days. In fact, at the moment, it doesn't even know what a day is. For that, we require a model. Now, a model is made up of multiple data structures, and we call them classes. So we'd make a class called day, which will inform the view model on how to make a day. And that includes converting the JSON into a new object, a new copy of a day. Now, Swift's got some fantastic code inside of it, and there's one line in particular which I absolutely love called JSON decoder, and it will take one day, which is a date and a day, and convert it into an object, a copy of day. Now, the view model wants to know where to put that information. In some apps, you just store it in the view model and we download them every time we need them as required. This is a little bit inefficient though for data that doesn't change often. In this case, our school days only change once a year. So it's best to store that in a persistent container, meaning save it on the device somewhere. And the most efficient way of saving it would be on a database. And in the same way that the server has a database and it's just a file on the server, we are putting a file on the app in what we call the sandbox. And it's just an area of the iPhone or whatever device that you're writing it for, where we can store the file and no other application can touch or even see that file exists unless we give it explicit instructions and we share it in a very particular way, which we don't cover in this course. So the view model will send an SQL query to insert those days into the database. Similarly, we have the view model will also, like the API, request data from the database using an SQL query, a select query. The view model will then manipulate that data, change where it needs to change, display it in a particular format, and send it across to our view. Now, the first view that you'll see in any app when you first write a new one will be a content view. And the view model will send the information across to the view and ask it to display it in a particular way. Well, the view will actually determine how to display it in a particular way. The view model just has that raw data. So if anything, the communication is really probably from the view to the view model asking for information to display on the screen. So in this case, I'm sending an array of day, most likely all my days or the days for this school year, maybe the days for this school week. Now the view still doesn't really know what a day is. And the same way the view model drew from the model, the view will also draw from the model asking what's a day, what's it contain, and is there any functionality I can use to display on the screen more effectively. So that's essentially the process for all apps. From here, you would expect the view to have interactions with the user, giving more information, asking for more information, whatever it may be. And again, that same process occurs where the view will talk to the view model, and the view model does all the work, whether it goes back to the server for more data, whether it goes to the server to send data up for storage to share with other users, whether it goes to the database and asks for more information. There's all sorts of things that happen in this system of files.